Hello, everybody. I'm Will.
And I'm Kristin.
And this is So I'm Watching Desperate Housewives, Season 1, Episode 14.
Love is in the air.
I'm still loving this.
Yeah, me too.
There's been a string of challenging plots and episodes.
Yeah.
Where do you want to start? Do you want to start with... So it's Valentine's Day, and this doesn't really go anywhere yet, so... Felicia Tillman, I forget why she's in Paul's house, but she's in Paul's house. Oh,
the flower delivery accidentally gets sent to her, but it's for Mary Alice because Paul had a standing order at the florist.
And so she sees the picture of him and Mary Alice and recognizes her as a woman she knew named Angela, which, if you recall, one of the tapes that Bree stole from her therapist.
The only tape she stole.
It was of Mary Alice admitting that her name was Angela. Yeah. So, and Felicia Tillman is such an interesting character.
Yeah.
Hello. Her. Good Lord, that's Angela.
What?
Angela Forrest. We worked together in Utah. Must be 15 years ago.
I'm afraid you're mistaken. My wife's name was Mary Alice. She's never been to Utah.
Well, I could be mistaken. As I said, it's been years.
It's interesting to replace Martha Huber with the same archetype, but have it be so different.
Well, because I specifically loved when he finds out what the flowers are. He's like, my wife passed away, but I had a standing order. And she goes,
I'm very sorry for your loss.
And I'm sorry for yours.
Pardon?
Your sister, Martha.
Oh, yes.
What? And he's just like, your sister.
There's a part of me that I'm like, could Christine Easterbrook not play Felicia?
Played this as well.
I think this woman is fantastic. Yeah. It's just odd. Yeah. I don't hate it.
No,
it's fun. But and so she does go home and look through one of hers or Martha's photo albums. I'm not sure which. Also, it looked like she was in Susan's kitchen. I don't know what was happening.
Well, so in that, I don't mind that because it implies that this is a neighborhood on purpose if they have similar kitchens.
Okay.
But also, I think it must have been hers because she was also in the picture.
Okay.
Like they were doctors or nurses.
Yeah, but why are her photo albums at Martha's house? That's a good question. It's odd. So
that's a potential plot hole.
This is a truly, truly atrocious plot for Gabby.
Yeah, what the fuck?
I remember it kind of catching me off guard when we watched it the first time. And then I also remember hearing my mom talk about how much she didn't like Gabby a lot when the show was on. Gabby is a very interesting character. I'm going to criticize the plotting here because I don't have any problem with Gabby being a bitch or a snob or a flirt or a slut or many of these things.
But
we're watching her abuse the help.
Yo, Lynn, you missed a spot.
I get to it.
Clean it now.
Okay. But you got to say please.
Fine. Please. Anything to get you back on your knees scrubbing where you belong.
First of all, okay, I have many issues. And I am like, why is Yao Lin on her hands and knees scrubbing the floor? Why isn't she mopping? Why is she doing it in front of Gabby as though she was a disrespectful child that's being taught a lesson? Why are they still employing Yao Lin when they don't have any money? Like, I have many varied questions.
We've mentioned Yao Lin a little bit because I have fond memories of her. And then there's a slight precedent for that type of character in shows at this time because we love Dorota on Gossip Girl.
Oh, yeah.
And
when she gets actual plot,
because I think
later.
Yao Lin's kind of done.
Yeah.
And I think that's a real shame because, again, it's like if Gabby needs anything, it's someone to be in cahoots with who is hers.
Yes, because Yao Lin knows all her secrets.
It doesn't make any sense.
That's not the person to alienate. And Gabby, who has to be such a primo mean girl fighter, should know that. like, you know, she ruled her high school. You know, she ruled all the modeling rooms she walked into.
She just would be so much more clever with
Yeah.
her psychological warfare.
Yeah,
and like,
I totally agree.
it's just awful, and it keeps getting worse.
Yeah, because the other thing too is that like Gabby thinks she won at the end of that interaction, and
You must be loving this, huh? Having me serve you must be a dream come true. That's the difference between you and me, Yellen. Our dreams. You see, I dreamed of pulling myself up from nothing, and I did. And if I did it once, I can do it again. So enjoy this moment. Enjoy your dream. Because for you, it doesn't get any better than this. There. Don't you look beautiful?
I really think not. Because do you know what? At this point,
And it undercuts, because the scene where she goes home
Yeah.
and Carlos is genuinely happy to see her,
Yeah.
and she's managed to secure not only a job, but a job that she can do that is tangentially related to her
Cosmetics.
area of expertise.
Yeah.
So this like, and they act it like it's this like proud moment. And the thing is, like, being classist is in character for Gabby. I don't know.
Yeah, but to me, Yao-Lin should feel more like a lady's maid and less like the maid, even though I know that's what she is. But the other thing about that final scene where she's like, well,
Also, fucking respect your help.
yeah,
They are doing your work.
yeah.
I have no sympathy.
And because I need to make this point.
sorry.
Because she basically at the end there in the makeup shop, she is like, I had dreams and I made them happen. And like, I know that now that I know that I did it once, I know I can do it again. But like, this is as big as your dreams will ever be. And I'm like, okay, fine, Gabby. Let's say that's true. Just because you are like sure you can do it, there's no guarantee you're gonna wind up back on top. But do you know what Yao-Lin did? She fulfilled her wildest dream just now. Who's the real winner?
But also, it's just like, I would love to be on Gabby's side. Like, how that's not Maisie Gibbons.
Yeah.
I just like, I don't know. It's
Because also
really...
it implies a deeper connection between Gabby and Yao-Lin than actually exists. Like, if that was actually supposed to be a cutting remark, Gabby should know something about Yao-Lin in order to make that comment, but she doesn't. So it's just a weird, empty, mean threat for no reason. It's truly awful. I agree with you. It's really bad.
It's just because I mean, I blocked it.
Yeah.
I just was like, oh, okay.
Just you don't need to be so mean to her.
No, we're not big on like, this was bad and you should feel bad, but whoever's fault that was, it was bad and they should feel bad. Whoever was responsible, whatever director, writer, actor, producer, like whatever.
Definitely not my favorite.
And that's not even talking about the bed. I don't know. That was fine. That was funny. The
She got like
Siesta
a
King
modeling job at a mattress.
So, where does the photographer want me for the shoot?
Didn't your agent tell you there's no shoot?
Well, then what did you hire me for?
You're here to remind people that there's a lot of fun things they can do on a Siesta King mattress that don't involve sleeping.
You know, whatever. It's whatever. I'm a little on her side in that instance because
Sure.
the guy was like, you didn't even chip in for the birthday cake. And she goes,
I just met the woman today.
That didn't stop you from having a piece.
she's still there. Those are two separate. Those are mutually exclusive things you just
But it's like, that's an example of her being awful in a stomachable way.
Yeah, of course. It's like, if the cake is out, but like, you can't require me to donate money.
Also, she had like a terrible haircut.
Yeah, it's
and
not,
like,
it's gotten worse somehow.
it's like getting shorter. I don't know.
It defies the linear nature of time.
Yeah. It's Valentine's Day, so Susan thinks that she's the main character. She mostly is. Like, but again, she is in the wrong movie.
Yeah.
Like, she's in the wrong story at this point. And also, that dress she's wearing is unhinged.
Everything okay?
Oh, yeah, this dress is just riding up as it is. If I walk any faster, it'll be Happy Valentine's Day for everyone.
She
okay.
looks beautiful.
It's a beautiful dress.
And she can wear it.
Yeah.
She pulls it off, but it's like, I don't love policing people in general, but especially women, and especially when you start getting into things like age and like all that.
That dress is too young for
It belongs
her.
on Dove Cameron. It belongs nowhere near.
Dove Cameron's tits can't fit in that dress. But the thing is, too, is like if Terry Hatcher wanted to still wear it, it needs to,
knees.
She can't do both. She can't do short and slinky. It needs to be slinky and longer.
Needs to be knee length.
Knee length at least.
But basically, Mike is still investigating houses around trying to find out what happened, and he was shot by a terrified older man.
Please, just...
Which is, I think, probably pretty accurate.
Yeah.
And one of the myriad reasons why we need to sort of retool gun control. Let's at least have a conversation about it. So Mike gets shot and then has one of his like criminal buddies stitch him up, and basically it's so funny.
Is it funny?
I mean, it's like grueling watching it.
It's like watching someone set up a Rube Goldberg machine. So Mike and Susan's table is wobbling, and so there is a waiter under the table. Apparently, he seems tall, but apparently he's completely obscured by the tablecloth, and he's trying to fit a door stopper under the table so it won't wobble anymore. So they come
I do like the misdirect, because the first thing you think is Susan's going into the table.
Into the table, something. And so Susan sits down, and then the waiter is like immediately looking directly at her crotch.
Her cervix, yeah.
Right. Through everything.
You can drive a boat show through there.
Straight down to the money shot.
Excuse me, miss?
And so she freaks out and does her flailing Kermit impression like always, goes back into a waiter who goes back into another waiter who goes back into four more waiters and a woman who Mike ends up catching and obviously rips his stitches. And then for the course of the rest of the evening, he is bleeding out.
Well, you were right, because we cut back to them, and at least 2, possibly 3 courses have happened. She is still talking.
Still talking about how she doesn't want to have a baby, because he had made an offhand comment about wanting to be a father one day.
Oh, I love kids. Can't wait to have my own someday.
And
well, also, okay,
she's just been speaking a wall of text. And he is like fading fast, sweating visibly on the face, leaned over, kind of like this, the eyes unseeing, like
glazed.
And she's just still talking, eating her little tuna crudo thing.
But again, I'm glad that he was like, I gotta go, and then he passes out, and clearly she sees. So it's like they could have carried that on.
The blood is dripping to the ground, onto the floor.
They could have carried that miscommunication on over the course of this episode and into the next. And I'm sort of glad that we cut right to it.
Yeah.
So they go to the hospital. She overhears a doctor and a nurse talking about how it was suspicious.
Yeah. Well, he's been shot, and then he claims he did it himself. But then he also has like forgotten who stitched him up. So it is very suspicious. She's just kind of like, you know, I said what I said or whatever. And he's like, I would be stupid to lose you in like, you know, trade you for kids or whatever.
And you were like, that's a good line.
It is a pretty good line. But then the cops do come.
We did see him again, and not the first time that we have seen him display his excellent qualities as a father with the boys. So I mean it came from nowhere, or it didn't come from nowhere. But
for me, I love that her thing was I'm not ready to have a baby, as opposed to
I may not be capable.
I might not still be able to have it. Like, I know that people get pregnant well into their 40s. I know that that's a thing, but it's like
it's not a guarantee.
It's not a guarantee. And also, like, the last thing Susan needs is to get saddled with an infertility storyline. So, like, oh no. Oh no. Oh.
It's not like that.
Okay.
I mean, it is, but I don't remember when.
Okay.
Regardless. Bree's plot is the same. It's Rex.
I can't believe we didn't get to the end of it in this episode, because she had to dishwash the handcuffs
Would you mind if I ran these through the dishwasher once?
Sure.
I mentioned this in our watch along.
I already know it's not going to go well.
Yeah, I mentioned this in our watch along. As we've mentioned, you can watch along with us on our Patreon, patreon.com/soimwatching because we started to break into a conversation there. But I was like, I feel like this might be a weird blind spot for Mark Cherry, because this identical plot is in Devious Maids, up to and including the like uptight, stately, redheaded woman.
I don't get it.
Because it's Rebecca Wasaki there.
Yeah.
And I don't know. The writers do have their sort of like staples, the things that they like, crutches rather, that they fall back on. Whatever. And I maintain that given the landscape of television at the time, there's only so many things that they could really explore, they could really do. So he likes being dominated. Bree treats the entire situation like he's speaking Greek.
I like to be dominated.
Huh?
Sexually.
Huh?
Yeah.
Like she's never even heard of such a thing.
I find this out of character for Bree. A little, at least. Because first she tells him that, or she says, "What did your mother do to you?" Which in Rex's case, I think is fair.
In this specific instance, fair.
Yeah.
Normally that type of rhetoric is...
Yeah, normally no.
It's regressive.
It's very regressive and reductive, too.
That's what I meant.
But both are correct. And so I just don't understand. She's like, that it's deviant and all of this stuff. And I'm like, Bree, I don't know. I guess she said the words make love a lot.
Valentine's Day is tomorrow.
I know. Already bought your gifts?
Roses and English toffee?
Mm-hmm. Just like always.
And I suppose we'll make love tomorrow night, too?
That is our little tradition.
I'm looking forward to it.
I don't know.
So if I had to write a list of 10 things like that I remember from this show, her line reading of, "What about Palestine?"
We'll be doing psychological role-playing here, Bree, and a funny word like Boise will ruin the mood. We need something that sounds serious.
How about Palestine?
It was very good. Because they're trying to pick a safe word, and his has been Philadelphia. And
Which I thought she was going to be like, ew, I don't want sloppy seconds.
I don't want you to use your Maisie safe word with me. That's what I did. But she was like, my Aunt Fern lives in Philadelphia. And I'm like, okay. And so she says Boise, and he's immediately then on the defensive because he's like, this is supposed to be
a whimsical word.
But if I say Boise, it's going to take us out of the moment. That's literally the point of the safe word, is to take you out of the moment. So that you're not in it anymore.
He's talking about it like he's in the war room. Like he's talking about it like this is warfare.
So then she says,
"It's war, Peacock!"
So that's when she says, "What about Palestine?" In, like you said, the best line.
To which he says, "Boise's fine."
Boise's fine. Just like... because he's like, it's supposed to be serious. I mean, I guess. Okay, and here's the thing. I'm going to admit something that's slightly embarrassing for me. I have never participated in BDSM.
Huh?
I read a lot of fan fiction.
Oh. Okay.
And even I know that he's doing it wrong. Like, he's not doing it right either. And I just think
I did mention, I was like, this was pre 50 Shades of Grey.
Yeah.
Which is just 101. It's just the most basic.
It's spanking only, and once in a while he puts nipple clamps on her.
But I'm saying like that hitting the mainstream, I think was a cultural touchstone for so many people.
Yeah.
So I think even just the language seemed more exotic and threatening in 2004.
Could be.
Than, because I mean, you hadn't been reading fan fiction for decades at that point.
Not for decades. I had been reading fan fiction, but I have since expanded the types of fan fiction I read. No, I totally understand it. I understand the like TV landscape of it all, but I mean, it's so 2000. This is 2005. I am. What does that make me? 19.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had just
18.
already
19.
I had just already watched every episode of Real Sex. So, like, I don't know. It's very basic, and it hurts my feelings that he can't talk to her about it, and it hurts my feelings that she is so judgmental and, you know, just weird about it too. I don't know. It's all together weird. She's really judgy about the nipple clamps, which, like, again, 101, like, wanting to get flogged and wear nipple clamps is just like.
But also, I mean, this is a woman who is enthusiastic about the thought of Laura Bush.
Okay.
So,
I guess.
She has opinions. Positive opinions.
Yeah.
So.
They're just, to me, there's just something where I just am kind of like, isn't it the most tightly wound ones that are the most wild and private? Like, it just doesn't make sense to me on a character level that she wouldn't be more into
I think if the show was on now, it would be written. This plotline would be written differently.
For me, if the show was on now, it would be written that she liked to be dominated because she's making decisions all day, every day. That's what it would be.
So much
she
better.
needs that release. What does he need that fucking release for? He's playing God as a doctor every day. He's doing just fine.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's just my 2 cents.
So that does bring us to Lynette's story. I think a particularly strong storyline for her and one that is ongoing.
Yeah.
We finally get the introduction to Kathryn Joosten's Mrs. McCluskey.
What? Nothing more to say? Can't get your tongue?
Applause on her entrance.
You had a totally, this was kind of a roller coaster for you because you were like, sweet, Kathryn Joosten. And you're like, oh, I hate crotchety old ladies.
They remind me of my grandma.
Yeah. And then in this one episode, they run the gamut of like every possible thing. And I love giving Lynette a nemesis.
Mm-hmm.
And I love choosing to endear the audience to her in the episode that we meet her.
Yeah.
Because they could drag it out a little bit, and I just don't think that's necessary.
No, I also do specifically love the moments when you realize that those kids belong to Lynette. When she sunk down and threw eggs at Mrs. McCluskey. I mean...
Oh, and by the way, will you tell your little criminals to get their bikes out of the street?
We'll move it when you say please.
Please.
Okay, little Lynette, let's not get crazy.
Even though it was Mrs. McCluskey who had officially declared war, it was Lynette who decided to deliver the opening salvo.
You're like, you see where those freaking kids get it from.
Well, because that's the thing is, not an episode has passed where you haven't been like, these kids are nightmares.
Yeah.
Like, they are absolute.
They come by it, honestly, with all of Tom's golden retriever energy and all of Lynette's bitchy cat energy.
All of her impulse, the same amount of impulse control.
As a toddler.
But so for us, even though we're introduced to Mrs. McCluskey in such a way, we're also kind of on her side because the kids need to be taken down a notch.
They're apparently just pulling a season 6 Dawn Summers and just like stealing from the entire neighborhood.
Look what I found stashed in the boys' playhouse.
And but that's also very authentic because it's like her kids are very bad, but they're not
mean.
Yeah. They're good natured,
but they're poorly behaved.
Yeah. There you go. They are poorly behaved. Yeah. They're not bad.
Yeah.
And so I love how much she comes to their defense.
Mm-hmm.
And then in an episode in which a literal egg was tossed at a person, the egg ends up on Lynette's face.
Yeah.
All that was very clever.
Yeah. I did really appreciate, too, that, like, after she finds the clock, because those kids have somehow snuck into Mrs. McCluskey's house and taken a clock off the wall and stolen it. And all of their ill-gotten gains are inside their little playhouse in the front yard. And so she basically makes them take the clock back and apologize. And Mrs. McCluskey looks back at Lynette and says, "Do you have anything you want to say?" And she goes, "Nope, I'll wait out here." Obsessed. Well, so good.
Because their story is still ongoing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
They need to make peace. And again, It's so tricky.
Yeah.
Because the notion of like parenting other people's children is
yeah.
But I love that Mrs. McCluskey, as mad as she is and as much as she is trying to punish their behavior, that she's not a mean old witch. Like she's sort of she's sort of like, I understand what's going on, and I don't know, it's an opportunity. They need a slight, because I honestly think Tom and Lynette are good parents.
I think they're good parents. I think they had too many kids too fast.
Yeah. But it's like, I mean, not to go all it takes a village, but I mean, sometimes you need someone other than...
For actual fuck's sake, Susan sits down next to Mike on the or sits down next to somebody on the street and it's just like,
boys, get your little fannies inside.
Oh, poor Lynette. She doesn't get a new nanny soon. She's gonna implode.
Look at her struggling with her kids over there. So sad. If she doesn't get another nanny. And I was like, Susan, get up off your skinny ass and go help your friend.
Put your watercolors down.
You are.
She's over here finger painting. Like,
you are looking at your friend struggling. You can see it. You could spit on her if you needed to. And you're not helping at all. It's absolutely unhinged. I can't. I will say, too, obviously the circumstances of her life are quite a lot different, but Kathryn Joosten's character on The West Wing has a very similar story about her children in that she does in this, and I was like, did that actually happen to Kathryn Joosten?
Maybe.
But it's very sad, but it's good.
Mrs. McCluskey is on the show. I don't think she's ever a series regular, but she gets a lot of good material from what I remember, and even just that the shot of Lynette throwing the egg at her.
So good. And
this
it's just
the camera push pulling in and the digital egg turning to
very good.
It was good. I'm trying to think. I feel like there's maybe something that I already hit Paul and Felicia.
Yeah.
So
I think that actually was
that's probably
mostly it. I mean, Bree was at the therapist again. They are just back together. Also, I have a hard time believing that Bree hasn't accounted for every box in the house and she didn't already know that box was in the closet. It wasn't hidden. It was just sitting there, barely on a top shelf. I don't know. I that's what I find myself having the hardest time with, is that it feels like a plot line from kind of a bygone era.
So considering I've used the word authentic to describe this show a lot, this plot is not feeling authentic. It's not ringing true. Yeah. It's contrived. I will give it that.
That's a good way to put it. Contrived feels good.
Which, I mean, is a risk you take when you're dealing with such an ensemble.
You're totally right, too, where you were talking about how far we've come as a society sexually, and I mean we're kind of going down the other side again, back to the
they're fighting back and they're putting up a decent fight, but they're not.
No, and because for me, I'm just sort of
sorry, feminists.
Yeah, I'm living in the era of don't kink shame at pride kind of thing, and I'm just even. The thing is too that if this were such a thing for Rex and Bree just literally couldn't get on board, I then also feel like it's in character for her to sanction this relation, an extramarital relationship, so that he's getting what he needs. Because she also does not feel like the type of woman who's I need an orgasm 5 o'clock on Friday night every week. Or, I think she prefers to be tightly wound. So it's I could really go hard the opposite way too. But the way it's played out is, like you said, very contrived. Every aspect of it. And I can't believe they're back together. I'm furious about it. So no.
It doesn't stick.
No, of course not. I'm aware of that, but Jesus.
So, all right. I think that's good for I think that's good for now. So we will be back.
Bye.